Sleepy Team finds themselves on the blue. Team Queso finds themselves on the red. Joker and Annette immediately taking away Sleepy Team, saying, no, Queso, we don't want to see this again. Team Queso going with the standard, of course, for their first, looking to lock in that second.
Yeah, of course you have to get rid of the Elsu. He hits like a linebacker. And you'll follow him through.
You do realize you've darned yourself for the whole rest of the broadcast.
What is darned myself?
It is a... We're not going to go there. Talanis looks to be the hover for the third ban away from Sleepy Team. Of course, Sephora banned away by Team Queso. Now this leaves an opportunity for Team Queso. They have to make a decision. Do we leave the Richter open and worry for that? Or is it Florentino? I think it's just got to be a Florentino. He's just way too strong at this point.
I would have to agree. And they're going to ban it out. And that does give the Richter over to Sleepy Team if they decide to take it. I'm confused a little bit by Sleepy Team's bans because I don't think they needed to ban the Telenas.
Yeah, because their Telenas player plays a better Telenas than Team Queso's, but whatever.
Especially if it's
I'm
Ruiz.
not there to judge them. Team Queso draft a Wisp first cycle. Sleepy Team are screwed because Sleepy Team banned out literally all the rest of Z's character pool. If they just put...
They could go Yorn, but then again, Yorn is very vulnerable.
Yeah, naturally.
They say, we're going to do what we want. Ryoma kicks into play again, so we're going to see that a second time. Teamy as well gets locked into the probable support position. A great opportunity for the team fighting. And now Sleepy Team looking to be hovering and locking in that Liliana yet again for Fico.
I liked the Ryoma pick here from Team Queso because the value of Ryoma on...
Hello.
Baldo!
Hello.
You know what? I'm going to talk about Ryoma first.
No.
Sorry. We'll talk about Baldo in a second. The value of Ryoma on Ibuchichi is more valuable than any other hero on any other player on their team, in my opinion. And that's going to be huge for them.
Thank you, TQ. It took them 2 cycles, but they do take the Wisp away. Now Sleepy Team have to play Yorn, and they seem comfortable doing that. But I think Team Queso would have been in so much more trouble if they'd had to run a Yorn, because I really don't like the Yorn.
We have to remember as well, though, Yorn was banned away from Sleepy Team in game number 1.
Yeah,
we throw the question marks, but there still has to be knowledge of the respect.
Here is my theory of what that was. Team Queso looked at last week's game, said, ooh, they play a good Yorn, and banned out the Yorn. And they didn't really consider that the reason the Yorn came out was because the Wisp was banned first.
Murad, final pick. Ryoma, or Omen as well, yeah.
On Knight.
On Knight, that's exciting. Knight Murad is really good.
It is.
Astonishingly good. That's a lot of work cut out for the backline, but the advantage Team Queso has is that's into a teamy, and that's not a great Murad matchup because you can commit, you can do all the damage, you can burn people down, and they're back.
Right, and even though obviously Knight wants to get to that back line, it's going to be tough because once he gets there, he's going to be dueling with Tulin and going to be having lots of trouble. So it's going to be hard for Murad to kind of get away in the end because he's going to be chased down by Ibuchichi, by Simja.
This lighter weight composition from Sleepy Team as well is, while it does prioritize itself in the skirmish, and sure, you've got Bottom to just run in head first into the line, it still raises a couple question marks for me as far as synergy goes. Yeah,
because I'm really looking for who they're going to use to defend their Yorn. It is the Baldum and nothing else, and Baldum isn't actually a great defensive support. You need to land your Wild Charge on anyone literally running at your opponent, and that's kind of all he has.
Right. And the other issue is that Wisp is so much more of a dynamic marksman than Yorn, because in order for Yorn to get his area of effect damage off, he needs to literally stand there and shoot it out, right? Whereas Wisp, one shot, boom, that's AoE crit. And then she just, you know, kites forward or kites back, another shot, AoE crit, or she can use Shakana.
Well, and the difficulty as well is, for all intents and purposes, Sleepy Team does have a good skirmish. If they're fighting with 2 or 3 members in the enemy jungle, that works great. But it only works great if you're going against a team that doesn't also excel in that. The single target CC, the skirmishing potential, as well as the early game damage Team Queso has on their table as well. And we're gonna find out whether or not which of these teams will be successful. Will Sleepy Team continue to stay asleep, or will Queso continue to let the cheese roll? Gentlemen, game number 2 begins.
I would say the ball's rolling downhill, but it's egg-shaped and can't seem to gather any momentum.
I don't understand.
It's an American football joke.
Oh, right. That's what you're going for.
Or a rugby joke, but those roll slightly better.
It does. It's a little bit more round.
Few will be pulled in by Yavix up top. That's something to keep an eye on, this Omen Richter matchup we've seen so often, but all eyes should be turned down bottom, where you do have Wisp Yorn.
Right, but I want to go back to the top lane matchup because this is problematic, TJ. This was the exact opposite matchup last game, and in that matchup, Yavix was winning it too. So
Yavix is really good. That's what I'm drawing from this analysis.
Right, but that's problematic if they're just going to get beaten out in the skill matchup here in the top lane, and it forces multiple members to go off.
Tower's already taking hits. Few has to go up to defend it. To their credit, though, Sleepy Team don't over-rotate. That means there's an opportunity to punish down bottom as Memorized gets wild charged into Z's full combo.
Teamy early game before level 4 is very dangerous when he goes into those fights because he doesn't have that second life to his name. Obviously, he doesn't have that being a bro, so has to be a bit more careful. And Sleepy Team could perhaps get an advantage because of it.
And because Memorized is going to have to recall here, it's going to be a moment longer until they have that Resurrect active in fights, which means they'll have to defend this first wave of the Abyssal without that ally.
Right. If they don't have the Being a Bro up for the Abyssal Dragon, then they could easily lose it. So that's why they're playing so carefully here. Ibuchichi hanging around.
Oh, don't do it to me again, Ibuchichi. He's hanging here. Memorized has arrived. Ruiz doesn't quite have the ult necessary to contend this, but he will be able to go in. Knight does get the Abyssal, though. O9's in trouble, but he'll be able to get out, and he flickers in. The wild stop. It's got first blood. Ibuchichi's gone. Ground into the pavement.
Ibuchichi goes from hero to GOAT in one game because I don't know if that was the best decision, TJ. I don't think that's what you should be doing because in the previous game, if you go into the Dark Slayer, you don't take it, it's kind of okay, it's only one death. This is a big deal if you miss because this can decide the game. The early Abyssal Dragon, the team who takes it gets to level 4 and they roll over you.
I have to say that poke they found onto Memorized is looking all the more important now. As you see, he's still level 2.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to skirmish during that time. They weren't able to control the map approaching the dragon. They didn't get the map control necessary to fight it over a long period of time, and they certainly didn't get him close to his ultimate.
And by the way, I want to give credit to Z as well because he was able to stun 2 members in that fight, get major AoE damage onto them. We've been talking about how perhaps the Yorn isn't quite as strong as his Hellnos or Wisp, but he's showing that he can play it certainly very, very well.
Z playing their role impeccably, as always. Against Ruiz, we had some questions, but it seems to have been dealt with.
Right, and Ruiz, again, is on the Wisp. I was questioning whether he was going to stay on the marksman because Joker, again, is kind of like that mage, so the fact he's still there is interesting.
You know what I think it is? I think it's Simjo and Tulin. Have we ever seen Ruiz play Tulin?
Yes, we have, actually.
I think Simjo's experience on the Tulin just makes them want to roll him onto it.
I have a very strange theory. Is that they wanted to have more team camaraderie and not just have Memorized and Simjo rolling around as German friends in the bottom lane.
Okay.
So like just more team camaraderie, so more communication between, you know, Memorized and Ruiz, so it's not just Germans running. I don't know.
I'm just okay.
Team camaraderie is important.
I believe you.
Communication.
The pressure came through up top. The team camaraderie from Team Queso paying off as they took a tower.
Yeah.
Ruiz will drift. It's because they made that change.
Yeah.
No more Germans. Bot lane.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
The wild prison is deployed. Simjo chases all of Sleepy Team behind the tower.
Oh my goodness. Again, the team communication. Anyway, we'll lay off it. Perhaps I could take this Abyssal Dragon, since they do have 4 in the area.
Yep, Memorized is here to zone. Yavix does get in trouble, though. Knight able to Temporal Turbulence burn him down. That's starting to get worrying. He's going to get very fed very early.
Yeah, with Murad, even though he's considered a late game character because he can just literally take an entire squishy down with 1 Temporal Turbulence, he kind of hits a mini spike in the early to mid game because some of the frontliners don't have the defensive tools to deal with the Temporal Turbulence, so he can really surprise someone like an Omen in that situation that you just saw.
Ibuchichi in the mid lane does get that farm. Yavix is drifting down towards the bottom lane, leaving that Tulin up top.
Right, and then, I'm not sure this invade's gonna work though.
Shock and awe underneath the tower. Yavix tries to stall things out with his rotate. He will stop the wave. Ruiz combining with him actually pretty well, but he's knocked very low by Vigo, who goes back in and is able to find the kill. Now the full dive comes through. Ibuchichi barely survives Knight. Memorized is here to stall him up, though, and alongside Simjo, they will get the kill. Now this gets dangerous. Sleepy Team need to get out of here, and they can't, as O9 falls as well. Memorized and Simjo on a killing spree in the bottom lane.
Beautifully done by Simjo, coming in and cleaning up that fight after it was so disastrous for Team Queso before that Fuse on finished, though. Oh, okay.
Memorize
Maybe
is
he's finished.
finished.
Yeah, Memorize is done. He's gonna go home.
Bye. He'll dip out. The German power duo, Memjo, returns to the bottom lane. This time, a full rotate, walking across the entire map for the Tulin.
Right, and it was a funny situation too because he was trying to get the Thunderbird off on Knight, and the fact that he died too quickly was problematic because you need to get the kill to get the reset.
Yeah,
And
longer cooldowns.
yeah, exactly. It makes the cooldown go way shorter, and it didn't get it.
He actually, if you didn't catch it, he died to the Thunderclap passive.
Right.
Ooh, this is a dive. Z in trouble. Shokunor will come through. That's Simjo picking up another kill off his Thunderclaps.
And funnily enough, Memorize doesn't have to use being a bro there, so he's going to have it next for any of these team fights coming up. And there is no response from Sleepy Team anywhere across the map.
This is Waterstone teaming.
Yeah, that's the Tide color. It provides you with damage buff and armor, or excuse me, damage resistance buff as well. And that just allows you to have this overall aura around your team to help you consistently. And that's really good for teaming, especially when you want to get that gold and that team fighting prowess.
And the duo between Teamy's Scavenge passive, which gives his allies gold, and the Waterstone, which gives your allies gold when they kill minions, means that combining him into any lane boosts the gold farm significantly.
Right, they get more farm than they would just by being alone. That's how insane that combination is, the Waterstone and the passive.
Yavix is outlaning Few again. He'll chase him back behind tower. That man's got to retreat, which means the tower itself will take damage. Only one minion though, not a whole lot.
Contrasting the Tide Colors mark is the more standard Ring of the Fiend here on Ballin. That means he's going to have a passive that makes him go zoom across the map, 50% movement speed. For all of the teammates around him, that could be very good for teamfight engage.
I've been using Hermes Select boots on my Baldoms recently.
Hermes Select is really gaining popularity because you can engage so well. You see it on Richter, you see it on supports, you see it on so many players nowadays.
I just like being able to move fast.
Yeah, and it's really underrated. You come from a bush and you're just sprinting at someone and they just die.
On Baldom, it's terrifying because you're moving so fast that you can close the distance without needing to spend the wild charge.
Right. And the funny thing is, Hermes Select, it actually raises your base movement speed. Items in general, they usually only up it by percentages. Only boots can up the actual base percentage. So that allows you for slower to go even faster.
Ibuchichi does fall in the mid lane tonight. They won't need the speed boost. Memorized has it with his booty boots. Fico, though, is doing so much damage again. A quiet star of this team.
Right, that's so underrated when he's consistently able to provide that poke. They have so much poke on their side in general. The temporal turbulence from the Murad adding to the Yorn and the damage coming out from Fico.
And because they got those 2 kills earlier, the poke in mid as well, they feel comfortable going for this Dark Slayer. Memorized will be here to observe its progress. But he is an observer only, and that means the Dark Slayer will be taken.
Right. They're just peeking out. Me on the bottom, just peeking out under the little the armor, saying, I see that Dark Slayer, but I don't know if we can do anything about it, T. Sorry, that was a...
You should be hired as a voice actor.
I know. That
for
was...
T and me.
Mm,
the 2 raccoons that live inside Teamy's armor.
You know what's really hard to write about Teamy when you write guides about them because it's plural? It's very hard. It's frustrating.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Yabineth is the same because it's an it.
Really?
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Huh. Well, always good to learn new things about AOV, I guess. Not sure how useful that'll be, but I'm glad to know. Team Queso will be pushing into the enemy jungle here and just collecting a little bit of extra gold.
Well, the funny thing is, while we've been talking, Team Queso have been pushing in, which is problematic if you're Sleepy Team.
They're trying to get these waves as far forward as possible because they know that the Drake isn't far away. So, theoretically, the more advantage they can build now, the less battling from the back foot they'll have to do later.
Right, and that's very solid play from them, making that observation, and now they could potentially just defend this without any tower losses, or at least minimal tower losses.
The slightly buffer minions are out because the Drake is out. Pressure in mid lane will come through. Fico, has to completely bail. Good 3-man push. Those minions lose their games real fast.
They absolutely do, and that is just Team Queso bullying Sleepy around. They don't even care that they have the Dark Slayer. They said, all right, we'll just deal with it.
This does mean Sleepy Team get a gold lead, though. They got one last game, but they were in significantly worse of position when they did. They can pick up this enraged Abyssal. The game's in their hands.
Right, they're still losing in towers, though. Even though it's much closer than last game, it is 8-7. And again, Team Queso have been more concerted in their efforts to take down those towers.
Simjo barely getting out of there in time, and he might not. 09 dives forward. That's a lot of pressure on the Simjo. Wild Prison can't catch him, though. And he'll get to safety.
That is the extra range on that lightning strike, TJ, that came out in the last match that allowed him to stay alive. Without it, he would certainly be dead.
Team Queso have got to be considering this Abyssal. Naturally, that arrow that just soared by will clue in Sleepy Team that maybe something is going on with it. They have vision now, but that means there are 4 players concentrated against 3 down there. It could get very messy as Team Queso have to fall back, and it's Ibuchichi already gone.
Oh my goodness, that collapse there from Sleepy Team was beautiful. 4 members coming down to make sure that they take out the member on the bottom and take advantage of not all the members of Team Queso being in the bot there.
Pew will clean up minion wave up top. Yarvex has to drift back, but Team Queso are down a player.
The funny thing is Team Queso, even though they're losing some of these team fights, their passivity is working to their advantage because they're continuing to play the macro game. They know that if they continue to play the macro game, they can perhaps just out-rotate Sleepy.
I legitimately don't understand how this keeps happening. Memorized does find another engage. The Wild Prison barely wide. Ruiz survives, but narrowly. 09 will go in on Memorized again. Being a proactive.
He's dead.
He is up, he's back, but he's, surely dead again. As Few goes in with the jungle strike.
This is what Sleepy have been waiting for the entire time.
But the macro! Yarvex is gonna get a tower off this.
You know what? If I'm Sleepy Team, I take it. They'll rotate back now, they'll lose this tower, but that's okay because they got the team fight that they wanted.
They might lose actually a lot more than a tower because so many of the members are currently taking the Abyssal, and Ruiz has a wave. Yarvex with him. They will push the high ground. There's the arrow from range. He's desperately trying to get back here, but it's too late. Team Queso have taken a high ground tower.
That was so well done. 2 towers, even including the high ground for an Abyssal. I think they'll take it, but they need to get back. This is good by Sleepy Team to push them out because now Murray can take these top ground towers in the bottom lane.
They're slowing down the recalls from Team Queso, meaning that the Murad of Night is able to successfully push in across the map. This Abyssal buff means that Team Queso can't take a fight for a while.
Yeah, they absolutely can. Not like they really wanted to take one before, though, because this is clearly what Sleepy Team have been looking for, to take fights like this.
Knight's in trouble. Will go in with another dimension. He's got the Dark Blessing, but Ruiz gets the kill. The Shock and Awe permanently deployed.
That is how you take out a Murad. You find him out unawares and make sure that he doesn't have his temporal turbulence to just kite you and bring you down with those iframes. So you catch him out, make sure you can't get those auto attacks off. You survive maybe 1 temporal turbulence, but then you take him down afterward.
That was enough for Team Queso. 4 players were able to take out the incredibly powerful Knight on the Murad. Sleepy Team, despite ostensibly being in control for so much of this late game, are behind.
Would you say they were in control?
When they had the Abyssal and like 4 kills, they still have a kill lead, mind you.
They're down in gold, they're down in towers.
Yeah, it's insane how Team Queso managed to ignore all of it. Yarvex will now try and ignore an entire team. Get reminded that it's not quite that one-sided. Memorized and him are forced to fall back, and Memorized might not be able to. He pops the Resurrect. 3 players on top of them. He'll come back. Shock and Awe's there, though. Yarvex wanted to go in. Maybe Death's Beckon, Death's Embrace. Few decided better of it.
The communication here from Team Queso is reasonable on the macro, but not great on the micro. I think that Ruiz needed to be there much, much sooner to provide that Shock and Awe while the Resurrect was coming, while the members were there waiting, and they were able to kill him and get out. Meanwhile, Memorize, he shouldn't be using being a bro on himself. He should be using it for his squishy allies.
Unusually over-aggressive for the normally spectacular team player, and that will give Sleepy Team another chance back into the game. They'll focus the Dark Slayer.
It does beg the question, though. Is Memorize being...
It's fine.
Hey, he's a Richter. It's okay. Is Memorize being overly aggressive, or is the team not being aggressive enough and following him in, is the question.
Well, it seems to keep working because Team Queso keep giving up advantages, and then Sleepy Team try and take a major objective, and they lose so much ground for it. Every time a major advantage goes over to Sleepy Team, they lose ground. This time, Knight wants to make it different. He'll dive in, doesn't find the kills, though.
I think that Knight and Few need to be the keys to catch out Team Queso when they go for these macro plays, because they're the ones who can dive in and get a ton of damage and get out. So look for Knight and Few to be able to get in there and punish all this macro nonsense here, TJ.
Memorized. Will get out. How did... I don't understand this game. Shock and Awe will be deployed. Memorized, willful, but he's got the resurrect. Can the team punish? Oh, yes, they can. Sleepy team finally trying to leverage the advantage they should have built so many times. But again, the macro play gets dangerous. Yavex is split pushing as the Drake comes through in mid. Sleepy team want to finally get some towers to their name. They've got a high ground exposed in bot, and they're looking for more.
Finally, they're going onto these towers after just taking objectives into kills. That was the opposite thing the entire time, TJ. Finally, they're doing this.
Tower itself, willful to the combination of Yorn and Drake. Are they satisfied with that? Seems so.
I would not be satisfied, though. I wish they would go in for more and be more aggressive. This is what they want, right? This is what they want, to be able to force a team fight, and yet now they back up.
Yeah, Team Queso have been losing into... They've been losing into winning the entire game.
It's a strange way to put it, but it's exactly true here. Every time they lose a player, they seem to gain an advantage somewhere else on the map. But finally, Sleepy Team are starting to make something happen here because they're using those objectives to their advantage.
The problem is they've already lost a high ground, and if I were them, I would be terrified to do anything now because the possibility of a backdoor is intense.
And Yavex knows that. He's going to continue to push that lane until someone comes back to deal with him. And if it's only few, then he can take that 1v1. That's where the gravity comes in. That's where he rolls everyone in. Look, 4 members are chasing him down.
Yavex will be spotted by the Ring of the Fiend. He lands the Death Embrace on the Fika, but everyone else is there, so the rest of Team Queso focus the bottom lane, bringing their 4-man squad down there.
That's very painful to lose a Blade of Eternity and a hero at the same time. You never want to do that, but I don't think, TJ, that Team Queso can make a win out of this loss again.
For Sleepy Team's sanity, I hope not. We keep winning, and they keep winning because of it. Memorized will drift back. The vessel does get picked up. Sleepy Team, yeah, this is just a solid check in the win column, preventing anything absurd from Memorized.
Yeah, unless Iwachichi can make a miracle happen again, but he's not quite near enough.
Half HP, Memorized still lurking, calling things out. They'll drift away from it. It seems they're content to let it happen.
How much longer can Team Queso continue to give up objectives and try to keep this game within their grasp? Because as this keeps going and they take a team fight.
09 in trying to leverage this buff. Memorized has a lot of HP these days. It might not be quite this much. He is able to get out. The Pooty Poot speed boost keeps him safe. And the split push, you're a monster, Yavex. The minions are inside their core. Sleepy Team have to fall back. Knight still gets Simjo, though. And Simjo had the Arctic Orb. He had no excuse.
It was so much damage, you probably didn't expect it to be there, TJ. That's what you can do with Knight on that bird. He has the Fenrir's too. It's so much damage. I'm betting that Simjo didn't even expect to die there.
He could have survived it. Arctic Orb keeping him safe. Chose not to. Now they're in big trouble. High ground towers under threat for the first time this game. They cleared wave well enough, but the waves will keep coming.
Finally, Z gets to use his long range to start taking out these
Memorized!
towers.
You're just going in, and it works! Fico down once, now the Flicker Ruiz needs to get to safety, but the engage keeps all of Sleepy Team back. Burns a Blade of Eternity. Knight will go in for the high ground tower, this time with wave, they will get it. Team Queso are evened up. 09 actually scoops Yavex, but he just boosts in. Z's called out, he's burned down. He'll be back thanks to the Dark Blessing, now down permanently for an entire minute, as Fico's in trouble as well. He doesn't have a blade, is Memorized, just dove in and found another kill. Sleepy Team are decimated. Fuel try and get back. The Mark of the Hunter gets 1. Oh, and 2. Memorized is down. Ruiz is low. It's 3 kills. Fuel don't make it 4. He's got him, Uchichi, so low. There's the Wailing Blade. A stun. Pinwheel. Spectral Arm. He stays up. It does not matter. Fuel turns the fight that was just turned. It's a complete team ace. A team Queso are taken out of game 2.
Oh my, I can't not believe it, TJ. What did we talk about? We talked about Knight. We talked about Feud taking out the members of Team Queso when they overstepped, and overstepped they did, and punished they got.